So guys, today I'm going to discuss the topic, some of the topics which are related to your paper third, educational study, right? The one topic is the education. Under the education topic, you have to talk about the meaning, definition, concepts, aims of education, and scope of education. Okay, this topic I have already covered. So I'll take swiftly of this topic. So education, as you know, that it is a never ending process of one's inner growth and development. It starts from the cradle and ends in a grave, right? Education has derived from the three word: educare, eduseer, educatum. You already know, I have already discussed this topic earlier. Definitions, you have to write one or two definitions. Rig Ved has said that education is something which makes a man self-reliant and selfless, right? One definition you can do of the Gandhi: by educations I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind, and spirit. The important thing is that nature and characteristics of education we have already discussed. Okay, so you have to remember 10 or 12 points. Nature and characteristics of education: lifelong process, continuous, bipolar, tripolar, multipolar, sociological process, process of individual adjustment, theoretical as well as practical, science as well as art, child-centered process, right? You know better, it is a very easy one, right? And scope of education. So whatever we are doing, even we have done in the paper 1, paper 2, and paper 3. So this is all scope of the education. It is a very vast. Scope of the education involves educational philosophy, educational psychology, education, education guidance, philosophy of education, all the teaching methods, all the curriculum, all the educational problems. So everything that comes under the teaching learning process. Scope of education contains this we have already discussed. I have already sent you the notes. Okay. Now this is a new one topic under the paper 3. What are the factors which are influencing the aim of education? What is our aim of education? Aims of education is that to give the proper knowledge to the child. Okay, education should be vocational education should be there, but some of our educational aims are influenced by these factors. For example, philosophical factor. You have seen that in many countries they have different philosophy, right? When you talk about the India, value education is given in India. When you talk about the western countries, okay, over there there is a western philosophy. So where so philosophy, yeah, it affects the aims of education also. Similarly, as a sociological process, okay, where the societies are living, okay, there is a lot of countries when there is a in many of the countries there is a democratic government. In many of the countries there is a autocratic type of a government. So sociological factors also influences the aims of education, as well as economic conditions. Some of the countries are rich, some of the countries are poor, some of the countries are they have the natural resources. Even Japan, they don't have the natural resources, but India has the natural resources. So this also influences the aims of education. Science and technology. This is also important. You have seen that many developed nations, they have good science and technology. They have developed better. Their education system is better than underdeveloped countries, and therefore science and technology also influences the aims of education. Next point is that political ideology, it also influences the aims of education. If we select any of the leader who has the kind of particular thought level, if he is follow the particular ideology, right? So whole of the country he has to go according to that ideology. So political ideologies also influences the aims of education, as well as religious ideology. Same point. Cultural factors. This also influences the aims of education and explorations of a knowledge. These are very simple. That's why I go, a little bit fast. Yes, this is the next topic, behaviorism. Okay, some of the students, they have sent me that particular topic about the behaviorism, constructivism, and others. So you have to understand the behaviorism first, constructivism first, in order to mastery over that particular topic. So what is a behaviorism? Behaviorism, basically, it is a learning theory. According to the behaviorism focuses on the objectively observable behavior and does not take into account any independent activity of the mind like thoughts, feelings, etc. Right? In simple words, behaviorism, it follows the SR uh, SR condition, stimulus and response. Behaviorism believes that if we have to get the response from the student, we have to give the stimulus to the student. And from where we get the stimulus? We get the stimulus from the environment. And remember here one thing, that behaviorism does not believe on the independent activities of the mind. Matlab, as far as mind is concerned, behaviorism says that mind is a black box, right? There is a no feeling, no, you can say that schema in the mind that affects the learning, right? Behaviorism only believes that you have to give the stimulation to the particular person, and in response you get the response, and they deny the any activity of the mind, right? And under the behaviorism, John B. Watson is the father of the behaviorism, right? And according to behaviorists, human beings are shaped entirely by their external environment, right? Behaviorism relies on the stimulus, things that provoke reactions and responses, right? So it is all about the behaviorism. So there are some assumptions of a behaviorism from where the concept of a behaviorism would be clear to you. The philosophy of behaviorism came in 1920, right? The father of a behaviorism was John Watson. John Watson came along with this philosophy of behaviorism. According to the behaviorism, the first assumption, yeah, or principle of behaviorism is that all behavior is learned and shaped by the environment, right? According to them, learning is a mechanical process of associating the stimulus with response, which produces a new behavior, and such behavior is strengthened by the reinforcement. Right, guys? You have done, one theory, trial and error theory in your B.Ed class. Okay, when you finished your B.Ed. So what happened in the trial and error theory? Cat was in the cage by the Thorndike. Okay, cat was not doing any action. When Thorndike placed a fish outside the cage, the smell of the fish worked as a stimulus for the cat to come out of the cage. So then cat started hitting on the bar with the paw. So ultimately what happened? The paw of the cat stuck on the lever, pushed the lever, she came out of the cage and got the reward. So theory of Thorndike, Ivan Pavlov, Watson, Skinner, they all are behaviorists, right? They gave the stimulus to the particular organism and they get the response. That's why assumption or principles of the behaviorism is on that point is that learning is a mechanical process. There is no use of mind. Okay, we get the response from the student by giving the stimulus to the student. When we give the stimulus, we get a response. This produces a new behavior, and new behavior can be strengthened with the help of reinforcement, right? And these are some of the persons: Ivan Pavlov, who gave the theory classical conditioning. Ivan Pavlov. Thorndike gave the theory of trial and error. Watson, who was a father of behaviorism. Skinner gave the theory of operant conditioning, which you have done in the B.Ed. So these all four are the behaviorist person, right? You should know about it. So John B. Watson. So 1920 May, he gave the theory. He has given one example. Give me a dozen healthy infants. So in his quotation, what the John Watson has said that John Watson said that give me dozen healthy infant, right? And after a 20-year, if you want that child should become a doctor, I will make him doctor. If you want that particular child should become an engineer, I will make him engineer. If you want that particular child should become a IAS officer, I'll make him IAS officer. Even if you make that child should become a thief, I will make him thief. I will make him even a beggar man according to my environment, according to my laboratory, right? He has created a such kind of a mechanism, and he says that whatever the child, healthy infant, you give it to me, and according to my learning, I will make it particular which you want, because he believes that on the stimulus and response organism on conditions, right? He was an American psychologist in a university of 1908. He claimed that external forces, not internal forces, shape people's behavior, right? We give the stimulus external, we give the stimulus which we get from the environment, and according to that stimulus we get the response. Okay, we have discussed. So this is a behaviorism theory. It was given by the Ivan Pavlov. This is a conditioning theory, right? Now we talk about the educational implications of behaviorism. Now we have understood about the behaviorism. The philosophy of behaviorism, or theory of behaviorism, came in 1920, right? Watson was the father of the behaviorism, right? Assumptions and principles of behaviorism is that they rely on the external stimulus. Okay, they say that mind is a black box. There is a no need of a mind, any activity of the mind. They don't believe of any activity of the mind, basically, right? They believe on the SR conditions, right? Now we have to discuss about the what is the educational implications of a behaviorism, right? In this first, we will discuss behaviorism in relations to teacher, and on next we will discuss about the behaviorism in relations to learner, right? This is the educational implication of behaviorism. So number first, you have already understood that behaviorism is a teacher centered philosophy. It is a not learner centered philosophy, because behaviorism does not believe any activity of the mind which contributes the learning. Behaviorism only believes on the external forces are the responsible for the learning, right? And according to the behaviorism philosophy, the teacher plans about the subject matter. He breaks the matter into the small unit, okay, and give to the student. And with the help of the reinforcement, the teacher strengthens the behavior of the child. Teacher is the prominent figure in teaching learning process. According to the behaviorism, he has authoritarian position and dominates the student. Teacher helps the student in habit formation. He can shape and mold the children behavior. Behaviorist technique can be used by the teacher to strengthen as well as weaken behavior, as well as maintain or teach new behavior, right? The teacher plays an active role in the teaching learning process according to the behaviorism theory, right? Next, we discuss about the behaviorism in relations to learner, right? Under this theory, learner is a passive, right? Learner, the subject matter is presented to the learner. The learner has to go according to the subject matter which he has got from the teacher. The learner learns material by breaking into the small unit. Learner needs lot of practice. Mechanical learning of things on the part of a learner is more emphasized, right? Learners learn by forming some chain of connection. Learning is desirable to learn content which are highly structured. So these are all the points. I will give you the notes. You have understood that educational implications of a behaviorism. Behaviorism is a teacher-centered philosophy. It is not a learner-centered philosophy. Basically, learner has to go according to the teacher. In teaching learning process, teacher is the prominent figure and he decides, and learner is a passive. He has to go according to the instruction which he has got by the teacher. Right, guys? So this is all about your behaviorism. Next, we talk about the constructivism, right? Constructivism, this philosophy came around after 1960, right? 1920 till 1960, there was a lot of learning theories came out that was based upon the behaviorism. But after 1960, constructivism theory came out that was, you can say, revolt against the behaviorism, right? Constructivism theory, what says? Constructivism theories says that human construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world. Okay, constructivism does not believe that we get the learning from the external environment. Constructivism believes that any activity of the mind, right? Constructivism says that humans are responsible for constructing the knowledge. We construct the knowledge based on our experience which we have got, right, guys? What the constructivism says that every person is a unique and every person has some kind of a experience. When when we encounter a new knowledge, that particular knowledge we compare or reflect with our own understanding, and when we compare or reflect new knowledge with our own understanding, with our previous knowledge which we have got from the experience, then we form new knowledge, we construct new knowledge. That's why constructivism says that we are the responsible for constructing the learning, right? Constructivism says that learning, all the learning is a social learning, right? And all the learning we create based upon our experience, right? It has written. Okay, so what was the constructivist view of learning, right? You can consider assumptions and principles of that. So according to the constructivist, learning is an active process. Constructivism allows student to construct their own learning. Okay, I have explained that how, you know, any of the person creates the learning. Okay, in a behaviorism, the teacher is responsible for creating any kind of a learning, right? But under a constructivism, only student is responsible for creating a learning. And I have given you the example. Okay, when student encounters any of the information, okay, he compares, yeah, he reflects on that information with the previous learning which he has got through experience. And when he encounters, when he compares that particular knowledge with his own knowledge, new knowledge forms, right? This is a constructivism. So according to the constructivism, knowledge is invented, not discovered. Okay, because we invent the knowledge, Hana? We create the knowledge. All knowledge is a socially constructed. Why it is a socially constructed? Okay, this is the important, because with the help of a society we get the knowledge. When we interact with the person, okay, when we talk about the person, okay, suppose one person has a different kind of a philosophy, one person has a different kind of a philosophy. When they discuss on a particular topic, okay, then the new knowledge is created. Okay, that's why all knowledge is a socially constructed. Learning is essentially a process of making sense of world. अब you know supporters कौन है? Who are the supporters which follows this constructivism? You have to remember Vygotsky, right? Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget, you have done the, you know, one theory of a Jean Piaget. You know, Samuel sir has, you know, taught you theory of child psychology, right? John Dewey and J. Schwimmer Brunner. So they all are the constructivists. Okay. Peter has given the, you know, one definition of constructivism. Knowledge is constructed, not transferred, right? Now we discuss about assumptions and principle of a constructivism. I have, you know, it is clear to you. Constructivism is a view in which knowledge is believed to be constructed rather than acquired, right? Knowledge is a product of human interaction. Knowledge is socially and culturally constructed, that is influenced by the group and its environment. Learning is a social activity. Learning is a search for meaning. Meaning requires understanding wholes as well as parts. Knowledge is constructed by learners as they attempt to make sense of their experience. And in last, constructivism says that all knowledge is constructed, and therefore all learning is a process of that construction, right? Next, we talk about the educational implication of a constructivism. What are the educational implications? So here we will also discuss constructivism in relations to teacher and constructivism in relations to learner, right? So first we talk about the constructive role of a teacher through this theory, through constructivism. Okay. In a constructivism, Teacher works as a facilitator, okay, to instruct learners on how to construct meaning and give the learners to help they need in constructing new knowledge and meaning. Means teacher helps the student how you have to construct the knowledge. For example, teacher can give a any topic, and teacher can say that okay, you have to discuss on that topic, you have to research on that topic, then you have to explain in the class. So from that way you can stimulate the learning power of the student, right? So here under a constructivism, teacher works as a facilitator, okay. Teacher should also facilitate peer interaction and cooperation between learner, okay, such kind of a facilities, because learning constructivism says that learning is a social process. When we interact a persons, then we form a learning. So when you will teach in a group, when you make the group, when you do the debates, okay, when you allow the students for the debate, when you allow the student to work in a group, so it creates constructivism kind of learning, right? To present tasks with real world application so that student can contextualize their knowledge easily, to align and design experience for the learner so that authentic relevant context can be experienced in the constructivist classroom. The goal of a teacher is to produce a democratic classroom environment that provides meaningful learning experience for autonomous learner. Yes guys, this is important. If being of a teacher, if you have to follow the constructivist approach, then you don't have to consider you are the boss of the class, right? You have to dominate the class. You have to provide the democratic environment in your class in order to promote the constructivist kind of learning, right guys? So next we talk about constructivism in relations to learner. To here learner must take active part in the knowledge, right? तो constructivism क्या है? ये learner centered है, right? Under the constructivism, learner creates the knowledge, okay. As an active inquirer, a discoverer of the knowledge, the student should try to make their own meaning and constructing their own knowledge while interacting within their classroom and social environment. Constructivism, although puts much emphasis on constructing or discovering the knowledge by the child himself, by recommending the methods like, yes, discovery learning, inquiry approach, social investigation. Yes, these three methods you have to learn. And if the questions come, right, constructivism in relation to a learner, you have to mention that. Discovery learning, inquiry approach, social investigation, these are the method. Being of a teacher, you have to teach such kind of a method, okay, that promotes the constructivist learning. It tries to encourage all the methods and techniques that are learner centered and encourages understanding and particularly the reflective level of teaching, right? So I conclude this under a constructivism. Constructivism basically it is a not teacher centered, okay. Teacher has to promote the constructive learning to the student by applying the discovery learning, inquiry approach and social investigation method, right? Now sometimes questions come, what is the difference between behaviorism and constructivism, right? So in under a behaviorism you have to write, behaviorism talks about association between stimulus and responses, stimuli and responses that lead to the new behavior or change in behavior, okay. When we talk about the constructivism, under a constructivism the learner constructs his own vision of the world based on his individual experiences and knowledge, right? And along with that you have to tell that supporter behaviorism talks about the stimulus response, and the supporters of behaviorisms are Thorndike, Ivan Pavlov, Watson, or Brunner, right? When we talk about the constructivism, you have to talk about the Jean Piaget, Vygotsky, okay, एक दो और name थे, ठीक है, which you have to remember if the questions come between what is the difference between constructivism and behaviorism, right? Now, now the thing has clear to you about the behaviorism and constructivism. If any of the questions comes, so you can attempt easily. In fact, I will send you the notes on this topic, right? Next, we talk about the critical pedagogy. This is also important. Okay. First, we have to understand what is critical pedagogy. And second, we have to understand from where that word has derived. Okay. So what is a critical pedagogy? First, critical pedagogy means you have to give so freedom to the child so that child should ask the question in the class. This is called critical pedagogy. Okay. Again, I tell you what is critical pedagogy. Critical pedagogy means you have to make your student critical thinker, right? Who are critical thinker? When you allow your student, critical pedagogy is a teaching philosophy, right? First of all, for a teacher, you have to learn, right? Why it has included in the B.Ed or M.Ed? Because B.Ed or M.Ed is a teaching methodology course. Okay, you learn the theory. That's why you become the effective teacher. So what is a critical pedagogy? Critical pedagogy means you have to make your student critical thinker. Okay, and now I discuss from where the word has derived. This word has derived from the book which was written by the Paul Freire in 1968, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Right? Oppressed का meaning होता है exploited. Pedagogy of the exploited. Right? This book, this is a very important book for the teacher. I have read this book. Even being of a teacher, you should also read this book. This book should be in your library. Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Paul Freire has said that there is a group of a oppressor and there is a group of a oppressed, and oppressors take advantages of the oppressed, right? You can say that there is a group of a corporate sectors, and some of the persons, they are exploited, they are the labor. Okay, so from that book, this word has derived critical pedagogy. Critical pedagogy is a teaching approach which attempt to help students question and challenge domination and the belief and practices that dominate them. It tries to help student to become critical conscious. Yes. Second word is critical conscious. Okay. What is a critical consciousness? Critical consciousness is the ability to critically perceive and causes of social, political, economic oppression and to take action against the oppressive element of the society. Right? So when we concluded critical pedagogy is all about making the student critical thinker, making the student critical conscious and challenging the power structure, and they should have ability to challenge the power structure with the help of dialogue. Okay, with the help of a dialogue. Okay, not from any of the method. So this is all about the Freire's pedagogy of the oppressed, which I have explained to you. Okay, but the most important that Freire's concept of education. Okay, so what is the Freire's concept of education? Freire's believed that education system plays a central role in maintaining oppression, and thus it had to be reformed in order to things to change for the oppressed. Knowledge is not an isolated phenomena, it comprehends both actions and reflection. Education at best is a process of discovery where learner and educators collaborate to develop and test different ways of understanding and acting. I understand you in a in a simple term. Actually, Freire, he wrote the book in 1970. Actually, what happens on that time? On that time, only one group of a society was given more importance. If any of the person has to get the higher education, he only gets the higher education from the abroad. But the oppressed group, they are not allowed. Even on that time, even education was influenced by the political philosophy. So against the political philosophy, Freire wants to say that education should be such type so that every person should equal chance to get it. Okay. Otherwise, the whole world would be such kind of a static things and others. Okay. The another one most important concept of a banking concept of education. Many times these short questions come. What is banking concept of education given by the Paul Freire? So under a banking concept of education, Freire says that school is a kind of a bank, right? Where the teacher has to give each and every instruction to the student, and student has to follow. So this is a Freire's banking concept of education. Freire says that if in this approach, the world is seen as a static and unchangeable, okay, where the only teacher dominates. So Freire was against it. Freire wants to say that teacher should not dominate in the class. Teacher should not be a boss in the class. Education should not be influenced by the political ideology. Okay, Freire wants to say that every child should equal right to uplift, right? Against the banking concept of education, Freire gave the method. This is called problem solving method. Freire wants to say that with the help of a problem solving method, it is a basically two-way method. Okay, student can talk with the teacher. Okay, teacher can talk with the student. Okay, with the help of this, you can boost the constructive thinking. It is a constructive. Why we have done this topic we are doing with the constructivism, because 1960, after 1960 constructivism philosophy started came out. Okay, and on that time Freire wrote this book, right? So Freire also wants to, he wants to say that student to become critical thinker, right? So under a problem solving method, you give a particular problem to the student. Student has to solve the problem. If any kind of a problem he or she faces, he can discuss with the teacher. When he discuss with the teacher, then he also creates his critical thinking, and he also develop his reasoning power, right? So this is all about the problem solving methods. So thank you, teachers.
सर ये प्रॉब्लम